Exactly. That was scary. That was like, okay, wow, the Commodore bell has been replaced by the Commodore foghorn.
I kind of like that actually.
Yeah, or either that or you were giving me the gong, like shut the hell up about Game of Thrones. So
Time's
move
up.
on, you asshole. Yep. But in any case, I think I think it's important to realize that I think Game of Thrones is better as a television series than it is as a book series because you can really follow the characters a lot more easily. There are fewer of them, and they aren't just kind of referential. I started reading the books after I saw the first season, and it helped so much, so much.
I was actually
Yeah.
there's a question going on right there with Future Days. Is the first season the most political? He's not much of a fantasy
No.
guy. He's not a fantasy
No.
guy most of the time. So basically, what he's asking, I believe, is is this a good series for people who are not into fantasy to watch?
Yes, I think so.
I think I would agree with that, just because you have a lot of quote unquote normal people that are talking about it out there. So
Yes.
yeah.
So 100% agree. In season one, you got to put up with a ton of gratuitous nudity that makes absolutely no sense to the plot.
I don't dislike that though.
Hey, listen, I'm a fan. I'm just saying, if you're someone that's easily upset by such things, the first season will definitely kick you out pretty quickly because it is
There's a
just
lot.
all over.
There's a lot of stuff.
Season 2, season 3, not like that. It's there, but it's tasteful. It kind of makes sense. It's like a part of the story, whatever.
There's even some boy bits
Yeah,
to go with the girl bits. So,
Yep,
something for everybody.
I mean, I'm not such a fan of that. I don't like the guy bits floating around. But,
Oh, you don't have to lie. It's okay.
That's so.
It's okay.
Why would you?
Hey,
why
the
would you say that?
Supreme Court says it's okay now.
That's right. Wave that American flag.
Anyway. So,
All right,
so okay, now on to Doctor Who. So now there's a lot more. I was talking modern Doctor Who with you, but there's still a bunch of different episodes. I asked a few people on the Twitterverse what they would have you watch as a first episode, and I got some really good suggestions. But I eventually went with the 11th hour, which was
5 episode 1, I think.
something like that, maybe 6. It was Matt Smith's is the 11th Doctor's first episode.
Yes.
So it was I thought that was a good intro point. I thought it was a solid outing, and you don't have to know a lot about what's been going on, and a lot of characters are introduced. So, tell us how much you hated it.
No, I mean, I had mixed feelings. I had mixed feelings about this. So,
Okay.
So Doctor Who is, I would say, exactly as you described it on the podcast. It is a quirky British show that's kind of written for a mass audience because it's written for everybody. It's not just for sci-fi people, I think. I dare say, maybe it was just this episode, but especially the beginning, it kind of felt almost like a storybook kids program. So this episode probably wasn't very representative in that regard, but I'm not sure in the UK how that might be taken differently. Like maybe it is more kids oriented in the UK. I don't know. But the point is,
There's debate about that, but I would see it generally as not necessarily.
it was a little. That was my perception. That's my thought. And as we kind of went through, especially as like the monster started coming out or the Prisoner Zero, whatever, that's not a kid's thing, right? But it kind of feels almost like so. Here, you want to know the connection that I made right off the bat is I don't know if you guys watched maybe you watched the R.L. Stine or the Goosebumps series in like the 90s.
Yeah.
Okay. You remember how ethereal and cheesy they looked? Doctor Who does that. It's kind of like
It's unabashedly cheesy.
yeah, it's unabashedly cheesy, but it's also kind of not. It's otherworldly. It just doesn't. It doesn't look. I mean, yes, they're in our world, and yes, they're these. He's obviously going to these places and whatnot, but that are in our universe. But it just didn't feel like the show is shot almost as if the people are kind of just moving character, like it's an animated show or something. And the guy, the doctor himself, seemed more animated in many ways. Like it was almost like he was a kind of caricature of what the doctor should be. Biggest complaint I have about the show is the doctor himself, and not necessarily the actor. I thought the actor was pretty good. The problem I have with this is I don't know what the hell the doctor is. Like, is the doctor
Doctor Who?
Okay, exactly. Is the doctor kind of a hapless time traveler who just kind of fumbles through stuff and just finds a way? Or is the doctor like the smartest man alive who knows everything and just pulls everything together and is just kind of acts a little bit aloof?
Okay, so I can see why being thrown into it might be a little bit confusing. So to throw a little bit of the backstory in and kind of what the character is. Obviously, there's 11 iterations of the Doctor. They each have their own kind of quirks. Now, this particular Doctor is a bit more of the kind of absent-minded professor. He definitely is a bit more. I'm sure you got that. He's kind of like the, a little goofy at times and bumbling, but he
socially awkward.
Exactly, but he knows what's going on in the back of his mind.
Right.
Overall, so the Doctor is a time traveler, obviously, who has probably traveled the most of any. He's part of a race called the Time Lords. He's probably traveled the most out of any of them, and he is basically a super genius. So he can figure things out. He's almost like a Sherlock Holmes-ish quality, to the point where he can kind of pull random stuff out of nowhere.
Especially in this episode where it was like, he is the Deus Ex Machina. He's saving the day at the last second.
Yes. Yeah. So,
here's the other thing I'll say. So, the closest connection I could make to an American series would be Quantum Leap, right? So, Quantum Leap is about a time traveling professor who is, incredibly smart, has, degrees in all kinds of areas, blah, 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 but he's a time traveler. And he's out to kind of right wrongs, right? And in fact, I actually might, I didn't read a Wikipedia page, folks, so if this is in there, don't shoot me. But I would actually totally believe that Donald Belisario based Quantum Leap on Doctor Who. Just saying.
That would be interesting. I never actually thought about it that way, but I could see that now that you mentioned it.
I'll bet you dollars to donuts that's what happened. Anyway, the point is, the closest thing I could tie to the Doctor was Sam Beckett from Quantum Leap, right? Mm-hmm. In Quantum Leap, Sam is the quintessential cool customer. He knows what's going on. He's, he might not necessarily have control over the situation, but he knows what's happening. He knows what his job is. He's trying to figure things out about the situation, but he knows what's happening. Yes. There's no like hapless professor about him at all. He's just thrown into crazy situations and he finds his way out, right? Mm-hmm. And I missed that. I found myself really missing that with the Doctor Who character because I just didn't know how to lock the guy down. And by the end, what that just made him was kind of annoying, to be honest. He'd come in and, get in somebody's face about, hey, you're going to do this, and blah, blah, blah. And you're just like...
exactly what he sounds like.
No, you're shut up. You're wrong. I'm not doing that. Go away, you annoying piece of crap. And that's just... I'll be honest with you. Like, the show itself didn't bother me all that much. I just had... In fact, I laughed out loud several times. I thought there were some very funny moments in it.
You lulled?
I lulled.
You did?
I lulled a little. I didn't raffle, but I lulled.
Okay. I can accept the lull.
Yep. No raffling happened. No rafflecopters. No. But I did. But I thought, maybe the answer is that I go back. Maybe we turn this back to the Twitterverse, and you guys recommend another Doctor Who episode I can watch where the Doctor is a little bit more nailed down, maybe with a different Doctor or something, mm-hmm. and we're more confident, and maybe I'd give that another shot. But I don't think I'll be watching any Doctor Who anytime soon.
Well, the beauty is that you got two other modern Doctors to look at that I would generally say, especially Christopher Eccleston's Doctor, if you're familiar with Christopher Eccleston at all.
Help me out.
He's been in things. I'm sure you've seen
that helped. That narrows it down.
Yes, right? Yes. But he was a lot more of a dark, kind of broody Doctor. At
times. I can dig that. That's cool. I'm down with that.
I'm trying to think. People in the chat, what is a great Christopher Eccleston episode to give?
We can turn it back too. We can turn it back. Let's turn this into some post-show conversation, as it were. We're running a little long on the T&B part of the program, anyway.
Everyone, think about that.
Yeah, think about that, and send us a little tweet.
Tweet.
Don't. You were about to say something very bad there.
I know.
It was a British swear word, and we're not going to use it on this program because we are female friendly. The point is, We need to move on, but I want to say one other thing. Since we last spoke, Microsoft did a complete 180 on what we were talking about last time.
The Xbox 180. I thought that was pretty funny. The Xbone,
the Xbox 180, right?
Yes.
So what they did was, I think, I think probably the only thing they could do at this point. They were either going to stick with their guns and sell half the pre-orders they wanted to sell, or they could get back out there and try to catch up to Sony in pre-orders and then actually try to eclipse them later on. I don't know. I'm not sure how that's going to work for them. But the fact of the matter is, I think it was the only thing they could do because of the horrible coverage coming out of E3 by nearly every media outlet you could find.
They were pretty universally panned, yeah.
Yeah.
So I was a little surprised by this. What about you?
Was too. Shocked. So, now maybe I shouldn't have been because, remember, Microsoft did launch the Zune. Anybody remember that?
Yes.
The Zune. Okay. So it was around for a little while.
I wonder if I can pick
it was
one
even
up
like Xbox
cheap.
branded, and then they were just like, hey, you know what? No. And they just yanked it, right? It's gone. Like one day it's in the store, next day it gone, right? But maybe I shouldn't have been surprised by that, but I was shocked that so quickly. It wasn't like an ongoing conversation. They tried to kind of explain their way out of it. Didn't happen. So I was shocked that it happened so quickly. They definitely reversed field. They realized they had a couple blunders on their hands. And what they really realized is that they had set up Sony to say all the right things at E3.
Yes. What I thought was pretty amusing, and this is something that Chris Kohler had addressed over at Wired, was the announcement from Microsoft was like the most it was the most kind of like against their will announcement. You could tell it was very
right.
Well, what I'm trying to say is that, like, they're like, okay, fine, we're gonna give you stupid idiots what you want, but you're gonna miss out on sharing your, sharing your games across
right.
platforms when you visit your friend's house. You're gonna miss out on this and that, but fine, we'll give you what you want. Stupid.
It's like we're taking our ball and going and play the other sandbox. Yes. It's like, so it's okay, guys.
Is it something that it's obviously some people didn't really care about that very much, but.
I still think, I'll tell you this, I still think that the Xbone, I still think, or the Xbox 180, I think that's the greatest name ever. That's the
Xbone 180, yes.
Yeah, the Xbone 180.
We found this person with a Zune, by the way. They actually exist in the chat.
Hey, there we go. We got somebody with a Zune. That's phenomenal. Pond life. So somebody out there still representing. I got a CDI, they got a Zune, whatever.
CDI is probably better than Zune.
Yeah, probably is. And it plays CDs. So, it's got that retro feel to it, What does a Zune do in that regard? Nothing. Just sits there.
At least it's not region locked, Nintendo.
Anyway, the point is, I still, that's another, we could do a whole podcast on that. I even considered that. The point is.
The next one.
What we also need to talk about, though, is I think that the the Xbox 180 is, in my opinion, the most forward-thinking platform. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to win out here. Remember, I think PS4 was more forward-thinking than the 360 was when it launched, and that didn't bode so well for it. But I think now Microsoft is to a point where they're like, hey, all right, we're going to have to be forward-thinking about X, Y, and Z, but not A, B, and C, right? Mm-hmm. And maybe with that kind of a mixture, they have a chance, whereas before I think they really had kind of sealed themselves in. It's either like you buy an Xbox or, well... I won't say what I'm thinking, but go fly a kite is what I think they were probably thinking.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And by the way, thank you to Carrara. The word I was thinking of about that Xbox announcement was petulant. That was the most petulant announcement I think I've ever seen come from a game company in a long time.
Yeah. Anyway. Okay, fine. You guys just take your game. No, fine. You're gonna miss out on everything that we do. Fine. No, go ahead. No, it's fine. Fine, I'll be fine. Yeah, okay, whatever. That was petulant enough. Okay, let's just kill this section. Let's just bang. Done. Let's move on to the topic du jour. Yeah, game over. Hey, it's America Day. Maybe a bigger gun is necessary. Anyway, the point is we are going to talk about the topic du jour, which is the center. Where is the center of the video game universe? Set me up. What do you want to talk about?
So, basically, when we're kicking around ideas for this particular podcast, we were talking about